So in this section, we're going to have a look at the differences between a large company and a small company. Should you choose to work in a large company? Should you choose to work in a small company? Does it actually matter? So we're going to have a little discussion around that. So a large company, they tend to have longer and more involved application processes. They tend to have quite a long application form online. They will have online tests. You might well have phone interviews as well. Your interview is likely to be an assessment day structure. So you have presentations, group tasks, interviews, all sorts of things to do. So the effort to actually apply to a large company can be greater. On the plus side, if you're applying for the graduate scheme or actually any of the formal development schemes, they tend to be very structured. So you will have courses to do, you will be assigned a mentor, you will have a development program. So it tends to be much more formalised. The work that you're doing when you get there, you will probably get a project that's quite focused on one thing. And further down the line in a large company, if you decide that actually you're in the wrong department and you want to move, it's actually quite straightforward to move to a different work area. Small companies tend to have shorter application forms and probably a shorter interview process. Similar kind of things will be covered, but it's just a little less formalised, so they will have less processes to follow. And this kind of follows through the scheme. So again, if you're on a formal development scheme, it will probably be a little less structured. You might have less training requirements, or you might actually have no training provided at all. And sometimes actually getting funding for training in a smaller company can be difficult, both from a time and a cost perspective. You're likely to end up working on a wider range of tasks rather than just the area that you've got into, particularly if you're in a startup company. If you've gone to a very small company, it's all hands on deck when something happens. It's a bit more difficult to move roles in a small company just because there's less roles to move to. Does it matter? No, it really doesn't matter what kind of company you apply to. What matters is your views as an individual. So you will probably have an idea whether you want to go and work for a large company for a small amount of time, for your entire career, whether you want to go to a small company. There's no correct answer to this. It's what's right for you. So I've gone from a company with like 20,000 people spread across various continents to a startup with 16 people to working for myself. There's pitfalls and benefits to both of them, and it's just a case of working out what you want and what is good for you at the time. And not being afraid to move if you realise actually your ideas have changed and it's time to move the company. So how do you find companies to apply to? Google's a good place, obviously. Engineering firms kind of search will get you ideas. And then if you want to work specifically, say, in the space industry or in the defence industry, these companies are well advertised. It's worth having a look at professional bodies that work in that area. So the Institute of Physics, the Royal Astronomical Society, the IET, the IEEE, these kind of people will have lists of companies or will have adverts on their website to send you places. It's worth checking out job adverts as well, actually to give you an idea of the range of companies that exist. So things like careers fairs are great, networking groups. So if you can find a networking group that's specific to the area, good place to look. LinkedIn is kind of the go-to for most technical things. So searches for space companies on LinkedIn will give you some good ideas there. Don't forget to mind the people that you know. This might be your lecturers, this might be people that you've met in other places, or even contacting people on LinkedIn that work at a company that you want to go to. Careers department at your university might well have something if you're there, or at your school might have something to help. So slightly less obvious places, something like Eventbrite. This is quite good for networking groups. You can find them advertised there. And actually sometimes companies do talks which will be shown up there as well. And things like following hashtags on Twitter and LinkedIn. The people that comment there, you can find out the companies that they work in and see if that's a place that you want to go to. So for this little section, it really doesn't matter whether you want to go and work in a large company or a small company. They've got positives and negatives each. It's what matters for you. So you need to find the right kind of company for yourself. And actually, more than anything else, you want to go and work for that company and do what that company does. And I think if you align those things, then you've got a really good starting point to see if it's somewhere that you want to apply to. Okay, so when you're ready, moving on to the next video, and we're going to have a look at the different details of the schemes that you might be applying to.